How's everybody doing tonight? So I'm going to do a reading, a little short reading. I have been working tirelessly on my book because I'm going to have it published by January. And that is to honor my daughter. I don't know if you can see. So I'm trying to put it all in book form, so that I can just send it to my publisher as soon as I get it done. But this is like almost half written, and the rest is already written in another place. So, hey, Dom. I'm doing a little bit of a reading tonight. My book is going to be published in January, and I picked that to honor Colette. And it has changed a little bit. You know, obviously I had to add some things in from my blog that was more blog style. And I'm doing the, before I start reading real quick, I wanted to let you know that TikTok is celebrating their 1 year anniversary of live subscriptions. So I am offering live subscriptions tonight. And what that will entail is you'll get a badge next to your name, so that I notice when you comment and I take the time to answer your comment before anyone else's. And then you'll get 10% off of any purchase of any of my original paintings, my prints, my cards, my clothing, my storefront. And I thought that would be a really good incentive because I have a big Black Friday sale coming, and the 10% will be on top of the sale. Thank you. So as long as you're a paying subscriber, you'll get 10% off of anything for Christmas shopping, whatever. You'll get shout outs on my channel for your channel, and you'll get to pick topics for me to speak on. And there was a couple of others, and I might have to put those in the comments because that's all I wrote. So if you want to subscribe to my channel, I'm going to be doing a lot more on my book, and it is literally going to be published or sent off to the publisher by the end of 2023. So, and it's been really crazy writing it. Like, it's just flowing. Like that last grief setback, you know, it took me pretty far down, and this writing is what brought me back out. You know, it's just been what's helped me, and surprisingly, because it's not easy, you know, but it's flowing really well. So I'm going to just read a little tiny bit tonight. Some that you haven't heard because it's new to my writing before. And I had it on the page I was going to start, and I forgot, or I lost that page. So that's what I'm doing. I'm looking for the page right now. And feel free to just tap the screen for me. I would really appreciate it. I'm trying really hard to get back into a routine TikTok and YouTube. All of my lives on TikTok will be posted on my YouTube channel, which is also called Feloniesandpoppyseeds, so that if you miss it, you can watch it, because they don't take it down there on YouTube. And I'm just looking for the pages that I was going to read. I'm sorry, I can't believe I did that. So my readings come with trigger warnings for those of you who are new. Very heavy trigger warnings. This is the book of my life. It is all true. It is raw, it's brutal, and a lot of it's very new, and a lot of it isn't. The trigger warnings that I have written out, just so you can kind of protect yourself, is drug addiction, motherhood, abuse, domestic violence, sexual assault, death, extreme violence, self-harm, eating disorders, suicide ideation, and religion and church. So those are my trigger warnings thus far. I'm sure there will be more. This book is, I'm going to just kind of start, I'm going to read a little bit at the beginning so that people who haven't heard it understand what I'm doing. When I first started writing this 10 years ago, it was after I got sober, after watching my abuser kill my daughter. And I just had this thought of writing a book of what it's really like behind closed doors, like not holding back the parts that I did wrong, sharing everything that happened during these difficult times and good times in my life, just being a complete open book. And my goal, my purpose was to help people not feel alone like I did. My goal has since changed, or I would say has been added to. My goal now is to help myself as well. I want to help everybody out there know they are not alone, but I also want to heal through this process. And so I'm going to actually just start at the beginning, and that's not what my plan was. So if you are ready, heed my trigger warnings. If you find yourself triggered, you can comment. I will try. It's hard when I'm reading to look up, but I will try to look up. And if you have something to say, something that triggered you, I'll stop and we can talk about it. Also, if you're new to being sober, or if you're in a violent relationship, or you've lost a child, be very, very careful with yourself. I like to tell people to kind of make safety plans before they come to my live readings that they have in front of them. So if you get triggered, you get to look down at your paper and go do one of those things that you wrote that will help take care of yourself. I don't want anyone to relapse. I don't want anyone to go down a dark hole, place in their mind. This is to help. It's to help, and it's to share truth. It's just one of my biggest beliefs in life. Like, how do we get anywhere as a species without being real with each other? Like, how do we learn and grow without sharing what happens behind closed doors? It used to always be, you don't air your dirty laundry. And I just think that's the biggest pile of shit I've ever heard. We have to come together at some point, and I think the point and time is now. We're in this great awakening. People are becoming more aware. They're becoming more awake. And I spend a lot of my time learning from other people. I watch YouTubers who kind of do the same type of thing, talk about their experiences, and it helps me with my life, because I've got so much. It's not just, and I don't want to say it this way, but it's not just about the deaths of my children. It's also my current living, my current life. I'm in the midst of trying to heal generational trauma while I'm grieving and traumatized, and trying to raise my 7-year-old who's also grieving and traumatized. So, again, real quick, feel free to subscribe. It gave me an option. So until November 18th, I can lower the price. I tried to lower it tonight and it wouldn't let me. So I'm going to keep trying and I'll let you know. So right now it's $5.99 a month, and I can get it to $2.99, but it said error when I tried. So I'm going to keep trying. But if you subscribe tonight at $5.99 a month, I will message you personally, those who do subscribe, and give you a list of all the perks. And you'll get to offer some perks to me too. You know, like if there's something you want from me, you know, I'm going to be very open to my subscribers' suggestions. I'm doing great already, and I haven't even started reading. So, okay. So my book is called Felonies and Poppy Seeds. And since a lot has changed in my life in 2023, I am adding, and I'm trying to figure out how, you know, I'm going to do it, but I will have it figured out by the end of next month. Stuck Alive, Felonies and Poppy Seeds, and Smile Beautiful. All three of those are very personal and important and fitting. So, you know, they may become chapter names or they may become the title. I don't know. So I wrote kind of like a preface, and I'm going to read part of that right now, and then I may read a little bit of the book. Trigger warning. Here we go. And this is called What the Fuck Is This About? And I put chapter A because it isn't the real first chapter. I am in bad shape currently. I live with suicide ideation daily. I will never kill myself, though, because of what you are preparing to read. I began writing this book 10 years ago. My purpose was to show that you can heal, and not only heal, but thrive, awaken, and be your best version, even after the unthinkable happens. I am a helper. It's what I've always been. It's who I've always been since getting clean in 2012. A lot of my help has been to my own detriment. And you'll understand that as you go. But that will come. Right now, I have committed to finishing this book as a way of helping others and myself and my daughters, my 2 living daughters. So we are going to take a journey, a human journey, if you will, together. And as I write, I plan to show you my healing. And as you read, my goal is that no one ever feels alone, and to accurately portray to you what happens when you are born into generational trauma that you can't understand until it's too late. Way too fucking late. As much as my heart fights me on this, by the end of this book, I will be a new Missy. Alive and being the best mom and human I can be. The weight I carry wants me to end it. Here's to being alive to finish this book. And then I wrote, cheers. I'm sitting on my bathroom floor smoking a cigarette as I write. I've written this book many times, and then a new tragedy strikes and I feel it isn't complete. I feel I'm not honoring everyone each time something new happens. And I've decided this is the last new. Like the book ends here, and if I want to do a second book, I will. But it ends in 2020, at the beginning of 2023, with my daughter's death. Fuck around. I'm scared to restart this, but that's what I'm going to do. And this time I am not stopping until it's published. Hold on tight and take care of yourself as you go down this rabbit hole with me. If only it were the rabbit hole we all think of when hearing that term. Unfortunately, it's not. It's a rabbit hole that leads to the pits of hell, which isn't beneath us. It leads us right back up to the surface of the earth, our home, my hell. I currently live with my boyfriend, Randon, and of course, my 7-year-old daughter. Current situation, grieving, stuck. I wrecked my car, so literally stuck. Not working. Well, I work from home. I'm an artist and an author. I haven't been painting much since my daughter passed, my last daughter. And I'm not present. I haven't been very well with being present, as the grief is so deep because I'm not on heroin this time. And that has taught me a lot. You know, when I watched my daughter be killed by my abuser, I immediately ran and started using heroin with a friend that became my boyfriend at the time. And I used for 5-6 years. I was in and out of jail. I was on the streets, and I didn't grieve. You know, I was sad and I missed her, but I didn't allow myself that thought pattern, and I was just gone. And so this time around, you know, being sober, it's just unfucking real. Like, every stage they talk about of grief is no fucking joke, and it takes you by surprise. And it doesn't matter what's going on in your life, you know, it takes you, and it takes you down, and then you got to try to restart. And I just came up out of one of the worst grief waves that I've had since Colette died, just a couple days ago. And yeah, it's fucking hard. I smoke like a chimney, and I struggle to eat or find any joy. I take my daughter to the bus Monday through Friday and have 8 hours of either laying in bed sleeping and crying till I wipe my tears and go pick her back up from the bus. Brandon comes home from work, he makes us dinner, and then I get my pumpkin to bed and smoke weed until I can fall asleep. And that is something I've not shared with you guys, but I feel, you know, this is about honesty and real. I've never been a pot smoker, but it's legal in my state, and since my daughter died this year, I can't eat and I can't sleep. I've had insomnia. I've never had that before. And so I have started edibles or smoking to help myself eat and sleep. And it does help. So I smoke like a chimney, and I struggle to eat or find any joy. I take my daughter to the, I get my baby girl to bed, and I smoke weed, and then I smoke weed until I can eat and fall asleep. But it usually comes in 2-hour intervals, waking at 11, 2, and 4. And it's usually literally 11 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, and 4 o'clock in the morning that I'm waking. And usually I just end up giving in and getting up at 4 because I just can't fucking sleep. And I don't dream. I'm not having like bad dreams about her or anything. I'm just unable to sleep. I'm just not in a peaceful place. And I'm trying to get back to that because my baby needs it, and I need it, and my older daughter needs it. We all need me to be present and not that far gone with grief. And I'm so thankful there's stages. I mean, Jesus, you know. I'm exhausted. I'm going through stages and phases like a fucking roller coaster that's out of control, waiting for it to derail, yet fighting to keep it on track. What a battle. Or wanting for it to derail, but also fighting to keep it on track. So it's like I'm constantly battling myself, you know. I can kill myself and get rid of all this pain that I can't bear anymore, and keep the generational trauma going in my family and ruin my other 2 girls completely, because this last one did. It took them down, both of them. And so if I were to do that, what kind of a mother at all would, you know, I already feel like the worst parent in the world, who buries 3 children. So I already am down on myself about that. And if I were to take my own life, I might as well take theirs. That's what it would do. And I'm unwilling. So I want you guys to know that that's not an option, but it's always a thought. And I know one day that will go away. It's just this extreme grief and sorrow and missing my best friend. You have no idea how hard this battle is, or at least I hope you don't. Although as an advocate for domestic violence, sexual assault, and trafficking, I do know that people have it so much worse. But as a mother, I feel like I'm the worst human alive. A human that shouldn't have been allowed to have children. But I did. I had 5 pregnancies and 4 wonderful and amazing daughters. As I write, I have 2 living children left. 3 of them are dead. I have buried 3 children. What in the fuck? My oldest, my 27-year-old, my beautiful, sweet, and tortured Colette left us just this year. I can barely even breathe, but what I can do is remember that phone call from Mahauli, my used to be middle daughter, but now my oldest, at 5 a.m. in the morning, screaming into my phone, "Colette's dead. She's fucking dead, Mom. I'm so sorry. She's fucking dead." I wasn't even hardly awake, and my soul died in that moment. I don't remember much else except that all of a sudden I had a house full of people, and it had happened again. Another fucking child. Like, really? Another fucking child. Like, you don't hear of that often, except my aunt. She had 2 children, both died, and then her husband died right after. My sister's husband died. My other sister's husband died. It just doesn't end. Like, this is my tally marks for the people that we've lost in our family recently. And I don't mean people, I mean like children and husbands, like, like major. Just another time in my life of losing the most valuable, priceless thing in my world. A child that I gave birth to and that I spent 27 years with. I don't know how I've made it this far. Watching my little one and Holly, my older one, hurt beyond understanding while I try to keep it together and be strong. Most of my existence has been surviving trauma and grief. I don't remember much else. Having gone through extensive therapy and having had a caseload myself as an advocate, I know that as I write, more memories are going to come up, which I'm terrified of. But I know that if I'm going to make it, this is what is necessary for me to make it. Chapter B. He kept his promise. Damien, my abuser of 7 years, kept his promise. He told me if I left him, he would find me and kill me, or he would take my children. I feel like I'm going to throw up. This is all so raw. How did my life turn out like this? My poor babies, all of them. My youngest asked me the other day if she's going to die simply because I'm her mom. My breath left me because how could she not feel that fear? My God, her life is so difficult and she lives in so much fear that I work on daily with her. Since her sister's death, she's been diagnosed with OCD with intrusive thoughts, which is also what Colette had. Colette could never get rid of the intrusive thoughts and the horror that she experienced when she was 13. I try not to future trip, but nothing seems stable to me in that area. I hugged her tight, my little one, when she asked me if she was going to die too, and told her she's not going anywhere, with complete confidence in my voice, but with great fear in my stomach. 3 kids later, who the fuck am I to say it won't happen again? How can I? Like, literally, how the fuck can I say that? Colette was the most beautiful soul, and I don't know what happened. I have no idea what happened in her final moments, and I never will. And that is painful, but really, what isn't? Colette was my firstborn. She was born in Corona del Mar Hospital, down in Southern California when I was 17, and married to her dad. Me and my little girl, 2 babies, went through so much together. It's impossible not to blame myself. I try not to, but my life decisions are what caused her to end up where she ended up. My soul contract is absolute shit. Why I would choose this is beyond my spectrum of thinking or evaluating. It makes me angry, and it's not fucking fair. She has had a 5-year-old little girl who lost her mommy, and because she wasn't married to the father of her daughter after she passed, my daughter's dad decided that while we were in this deep grief, that we needed to stay separated. And so when Colette died, I also lost her daughter, who I was with her whole 5 years, not every second of every day, but I helped raise her, and she helped raise her little sister. And so I lost Colette, and I lost her daughter. I'm seeing her daughter again now, and I don't think that it was necessarily the worst idea, because I was out of my mind with grief, and she's back in my life, and that gives me more comfort than I can explain. I feel as if I'm going to burst. It would relieve the pressure that I can barely withstand anymore. I was with her for 5 years, my granddaughter, and then she lost everything, and that made it more unbearable than I can find words for. Her 6th birthday was 3 days ago, and her dad texted me asking if I could throw the party. I was so joyful, and I still am, but also her birthday last year was one of the last times that I saw my daughter alive. My anxiety is growing by the minute. The word anxiety is laughable. I don't know what else to call it, but that's coming, and there's no word for how I feel. 7 days from now, she will be here, just like last year, only without her mommy, my baby girl. But I will fucking pull it off. I will. Chapter B.5. So my trauma is real and recent and raw. That's the recent part, is Colette's death and trying to help my little one through it while fighting my own self to stay alive. However, the trauma started many years ago. Okay, chapter C. As a child, I don't have a lot of memories. My mom was Christian and my dad wasn't. I was the middle daughter of 3 girls. We lived in a 2-bedroom house. My sisters and I had a triple bunk bed. My dad was building a log cabin on the property for us to move into. For as long as my memory holds, he was building that house, like when I was a child. I had my sisters to play with, so I was pretty oblivious to my parents' life until I wasn't. I remember learning about the Bible and heaven and hell, and then realizing that meant my dad was going to hell. I don't know what age I was when I realized this, but I was very young. My mom took me and my sisters to church, and my dad was not a believer. And so being taught about the Bible, I would cry at night, like when I went to bed, for him, picturing him burning on fire forever because he didn't go to church. And my mom would just tell me to pray for him. But the fear was great. That fear that was pre-programmed into me from the start. Fear of hell. And like I said, it was great. Like, that's one of my biggest memories as a child. I remember having fun playing in the half-built house and having friends over, but things get really confusing as I turned 7, 8, and 9. I remember Mom taking us girls on no destination drives while she cried and drove us around. I knew it was her and Dad, but I didn't know what. I would catch glimpses of arguments, mostly Mom crying and Dad saying nothing. I do know that they raised us as good as they thought they could, like all parents raise their children the best they can. But the church fucked me up. I couldn't understand the eternal punishment for not going to church. And then I began thinking of all the kids who never learned about God, and I carried the weight of their eternal damnation with me through most of my life. I always seemed to be in trouble, but as a young child I didn't have bad intentions, so I was always confused. But I came to the conclusion that it was me. I was a bad kid. My older sister seemed to understand, and my younger sister was just a baby. So what was wrong with me? Why did I carry fear and sorrow, but they were fine? Dad ended up joining the cult. Oh, I mean the church, sorry. When I was about 11. They became youth group leaders and super involved in the church together. I had already attempted suicide once by that time. A boy I had liked at school broke up with me, and at the age of 10, I took 2 whole bottles of pills. I got scared, and I did tell my mom. I was taken to the hospital, and I don't remember much about it, except I remember one doctor saying, "Your nails are painted really pretty. That doesn't seem like something someone who wants to die would take the time to do," as I was throwing up into a bowl. What? Okay, whatever. And that was that. I don't know if it was even ever talked about again after that night, but I was clearly not okay, trying to kill myself at age 11 over a boy. Or 10, 11. It could have been 10, it could have been 11. There's so much shit, it's hard for me to remember dates. But it wasn't talked about again. But I was clearly not okay. That is a very young age to do something like that. Over rejection. Back then, anyway. Today, it's too common. What I didn't know was that I had borderline personality disorder. No one knew I had it. What the fuck was borderline in 1985? Everything went downhill for me from that moment on. Truly, if I put it in perspective, I have been in pain for over 30 years, confused, grieving, and filled with self-hatred, none of which was spoken of or even thought on. I was just the rebellious one, but yet I wasn't. My intentions, I didn't know up from down. My emotions didn't work like others' emotions. I didn't even know that, of course, at the time. Just I knew I was bad. I believed it with every cell in my body. I never meant to cause upset or to be in trouble, but I always did and was. Keeping your kids ignorant is not right. And later on, I learned that doing the exact opposite as a parent wasn't right either. It's so difficult still today for me not to look at all of the death and pain me and my children have lived through and not lived through, and believe that this is all my fault. How does a mother bury 3 children? How in the fuck did I get here? Well, apparently I signed this soul contract. That's what I've learned in this last year. Before Colette's death, I could handle that. Now I'm fucking shattered and angry. And yes, you guessed it, confused. Confusion is my biggest trigger to this day. Oh my God, my soul aches. There's no relief. I'm sober except for my prescription and my pot at bedtime. I'm trying to get off my prescriptions as well. But I'm facing all of this without heroin, which is what kept me alive after my 1.5-year-old precious daughter Poppy was killed by my abuser in front of my daughters and me. In front of Colette and Holly and me, 3 days after Holly's 11th birthday, on Colette's 13th birthday, and 15 days before my birthday. September has been painful for so many years. I don't even know what happened this last September, other than it was horrifying. The worst birthday of my life this far. My parents and my two girls did all they could, and it meant the world to me. But it killed me. Colette would have been 28, getting ready for her daughter's 6th birthday, and Poppy would be sweet 16. Jesus Christ, how am I here? I'm here because if I take my own life, I've done harm to Holly and my little one, and I would rather carry 1,000 times more weight than I am than hurt either one of them any more than they already are. This is the reason for Stuck Alive. I couldn't handle the confusion at home anymore, and I did begin to do whatever I wanted eventually. I mean, church. I don't know what I wrote. Sorry. Did whatever I wanted. We got a new pastor at our church. Our cult. I mean church. And he came with a family and a daughter my age. A preacher's daughter. Her name is Elisa. And still, to this day, she is my best friend. Unfortunately, she lives 8 hours away, and I gave up all my money, my career, and my security 3 years ago, and still don't have it back. This part of the story is coming, don't worry. So I don't get to see her very often, which would help me so much. But right now I can't change it, or much of any of my circumstances, but I will. By the end, and if I don't, this attempt to show that those will have who have suffered in these ways, they are not alone, and my attempt to be better and stronger by the end will be a fail, and that just can't happen. Like, it just can't fucking happen. This book is so much. I don't know if I will fit it all in here, but if not, there will be a part 2. I am trying to stay out of victim mentality, but this phase of grief has me fucking angry. And I haven't been angry until recently, like few days recently. And I can't even see straight. And I know that will go away as it has before. But here's the book. Things became off the hook fast. Having borderline personality disorder is so fucking difficult when a young child, not knowing anything about mental health. I was just going in circles, looking to be loved, accepted, and understood by anyone. Elisa understood me, and as our parents became friends in the church, we became inseparable. The best part was that we were allowed at each other's houses because we came from the same church. Until then, I had friends over mostly because of my parents. If my parents didn't agree with my friends' parents' lifestyle, I wasn't allowed to go stay at their house. No school dances except for one, my 8th grade Valentine dance. That was the only one I was allowed to go to. Parenting is so fucking hard. I mean, am I right? I hold no judgment to my parents for raising us the best they could. As an adult, realizing that they are people just like me, and kids don't come with instruction manuals. They are no longer part of the church, and we have a great relationship. Now, Elisa was the oldest child in her family, and as I said, the preacher's daughter, and had moved a lot. I'd never moved from our small town, and she was definitely more mature and experienced than me. Although both young, yearning for love and acceptance, a not-so-great combo that created a lifelong love for one another. Actually, it was a great fucking combination. We experienced life together. How we could manage, in any way we could manage, and made lifelong memories. We were only together in the same school for about 2 years before the cult fired her dad, and they had to move, and they ended up moving states away. It traumatized us being ripped apart, but not before we had experienced so much during the junior high, early high school age. First wine coolers, first cigarettes, sneaking boys over, to more serious things such as sneaking out to much older guys' houses at night and not realizing how much danger we actually did put ourselves in. But mostly it was normal, innocent, curious adolescent shit. Stealing champagne from our parents, smoking pot, breaking into the church, using the sound system to blast 2 Live Crew and flip off God. That's where we were at. As far as we were concerned, he was the reason our parents were strict, and we hated it. We tried to hold seances and trade our souls to the devil in exchange for our parents to not be strict. Dear God, we loved each other deeply, and we fulfilled our need for affection, love, and acceptance, playing with each other's hair, tickling each other's backs, cuddling, being best friends. But we were shamed for that, even though it wasn't sexual. But it made the pastor, her dad, look bad. So we were always shamed for being close friends. You know, we were just young girls. But we tried to lose our virginity together, you know, that kind of friendship. Not with each other, but next to each other with our boyfriends in Elisa's guest room. We had family time. That was fun as well. Our dads had boats, and we spent summers on the lakes water skiing. We went to this thing called Jesus Northwest, and we went to Petra concerts, which was a Christian rock band. We made our own fun. I remember the days where we could never stop laughing. We were young girls, sheltered, but unknowingly also not sheltered. The part that is different for me is never feeling I could talk to my mom. If the Bible said no, it was no, with no discussing things like sex, safety, feelings, etc. Just no. We could play Circle the Childhood Trauma throughout this chapter if you want. One major moment for me during that time was this happening. And I'm going to read this happening, and then I'm going to stop. And I'm going to do this. My commitment to reading this is once a week because of my grief. And, you know, I don't know what my days are going to be like, but hopefully, you know, we'll go further. And I plan to read once a week and then speak on what I read. So that's also something to look forward to if you decide to become a subscriber. So I kept journals for as long as I could write. I wrote everything in them, as young girls often do. All my thoughts, desires, angers, sadness, confusion, and experiences. I had many notebooks filled. One day in junior high, I was at school sitting on the bleachers, and a boy sat behind me. Our class had 40 kids total in my year, my graduating year. 40 kids. We were all friends, and we all knew each other. He put his arms around me, and he felt my chest. I felt a sensation I hadn't felt before. I remember feeling like I must be pretty, and he must like me. And it made me happy. I wanted that attention. I wasn't aware that I was starving for that attention at the time, but I definitely was. And from guys. Also, it felt kind of weird, kind of good. I didn't know, but of course, I wrote about it in my journal. Elisa's mom and my mom, soon after, and for a reason I'm sure we gave them enough to feel justified in reading our diaries. They both did it while we were at school. Mom was mortified at what Elisa and I had been up to, and found out about sneaking out, sneaking boys in, all the things, plus that guy touching my chest and me liking it. The solution to this dreadful day was for me to gather my journals, stand in front of our fireplace, and throw them all in and watch them burn. No talking about how I felt on any or about anything that she read. We didn't talk about anything that she read. Other than she said, "We save our bodies for our husbands." And as I cried watching my words, my life, burn, she gave me a ring with a small diamond on it and told me it was a purity ring to stay a virgin until I find my husband. Honestly, it's one of my biggest triggers that I remember from that time frame. I had to go sit in my room alone, grounded for I don't know how long. School only, church only. Just more programming to my subconscious that I am bad. I let a boy touch me without being married, and I liked it. I'm bad. I'm a dirty slut, right? While Elisa and I were BFFs, I also began slipping in my own personal way. When I found out that wine coolers made me laugh and sneaking out gave me a thrill and the opportunity to be loved by many guys, I wanted more of everything and anything. And that made me feel normal. I didn't seek things out, as I didn't even think of doing that, but anything offered or suggested became a yes from me. I became a yes girl at a scarily young age, and boys, men, and girls noticed. They noticed very much. I got a boyfriend who was a senior in high school when I was 12, turning 13. Oh shit, I'm getting ahead of myself. And I'm going to stop it there. And I read to there, and I'm already in the book married. So, like where I'm at now, and it's all written in my blog, like I said, so it's going to take no time. I just have to add the few things and dates and stuff like that. So I hope that everyone is okay and no one got too triggered. I appreciate you guys sticking around, and especially through my disappearing and reappearing with my grief. You know, I'm not at the point of being able to be like, no, I'm not going to go down like this. You know, I'm not going to be sad and stay in bed. And because my heart is so shattered, and it's a lifetime shattered, you know. So I don't mean to be so off and on here. It sucks. But it will change soon. And me coming on here is also a way of me, you know, keeping myself accountable. And that's why I wrote out all those things for subscribers. You know, I want to do these things. I want to be busy. I want to be working.